Season 4 patch notes are here with some various changes. There are a few interesting things in here that we covered in the blog yesterday, but this gets a little bit more granular where we break down some of the actual changes that happen. Ricochet anti-cheat, I guess, is announced in here. It says, Season 4 live. We're building on our anti-cheat system to better protect players, ensure fair matches across the board. Yeah. Players who fail Microsoft's zero attestation checks will be placed into a separate matchmaking pool. To access all playlists, players must successfully complete those things and then get into it. So either way, there's going to be some extra trust things in there to make it a little bit harder, but we'll see kind of how that part works. Illicit cargo camo event. That's going to go ahead and be in week 2. So that won't start this Thursday tomorrow. It'll be the following week. And it'll kind of go from there. We get the maps, which is Fortune's Keep, returns with some of how it left us before. I'm a fan of the map. It was funny in the comments yesterday. There were people like, what about Vondel? What about Ashika? Vondel will probably be the next one. I don't think we'll see Ashika for a while. That one was really negatively received. So if you are a fan of that one, I think that one's like on the lower end. Fortune's Keys was probably the like competitor of the most popular with Vondel, I think. So I think it was kind of a coin toss between those. I think it's a little bit trickier to work on Vondel because of the way that some of the movement tech works. Wasn't really designed well for that map and doesn't translate well. There's a lot of issues with that map in terms of the way the systems work now. Hopefully that is the next one. And then maybe we get a new map at some point soon, right? Hopefully like season 6, they're giving us Vondel. And then we get the new integration in season 1 with the new warzone or whatever they're going to do using the MW4 tech and MW4 weapons. That's what at least it looks like. Maybe we'll get something going there. But overall, more maps, but it really depends on how they're going to handle these playlist situation, which I think's been the bigger issue. So we got a lot of the points of interest. We've played the map before, nothing crazy. We get Clash returning, which is pretty straightforward mode, and then playlists. Here's the part which kind of pisses everyone off, right? So battle royales, we're going to have solos and quads, no duos, no trios, which is what I prefer is trios. Resurgence quads, we get Fortune's Keep. It'll be dedicated, and no map rotation. Versus Avalon and Verdansk will be on the regular battle royale, and it's set up that way. No Black Ops Royale except for quads. Avalon, pretty straightforward there. Clash will only be on Verdansk, and then we get Haven's Hollow. A couple of different rotation things going on here. Still, no solos, duos, trios, quads. Keep it simple, and we'll have a weekend-only playlist pop up soon as well. They're going to add a new placement challenges reward system where basically you get points for placing well. If you get top 5 versus top 3 versus victory, you'll get that, and it looks like it counts in casuals as well. And then once you accumulate enough points, you'll be able to get contrail, parachute, animated weapon camo, which is just freebie on top of just playing the game. If you organically play the game, you're going to accomplish this over a couple weeks, right? It won't be something that you have to really force and grind out, and or you can be really efficient and just do resurgence. You'll probably knock out 9 wins in casual in probably 2 hours, something like that. Wait, no, what is it? About 10, 12 minutes a match? Yeah, about 2 to 3 hours tops. And that's if you're like casually playing it with randoms. If you actually lock in with the sweat squad, you could probably do it in an hour and a half. We got some streak based ones. So you get certain things there. These are pretty cool little way to display this. This Hellish Ember one's kind of sick. So is this one, the Ethereal Reflection. So those are the win streak ones. You get those for the various modes. Black Ops Royale, the wins. Battle Royale wins. And then Resurgence. I wish the biggest problem with those is I constantly see people complaining about is they don't even lose. They get disconnected or something like that where there's not a way for them to get like a forgiveness. So I feel like even though it would take away from the fact that like, 50 consecutive wins is kind of an insane milestone, I wish they did it kind of like Destiny. I know that's, a tough topic for a lot of people, but Destiny 3, hopefully we get that at some point. But Destiny 2, they're going to have their final update coming up in the next week or so. But the thing I wanted to talk about is they have this trial-based system where you get a card. And what happens is you try to get a certain number of wins before you get a certain number of losses. So I'd like to see that updated to reflect this, and it would better protect those systems in place so that you could get 2 losses or disconnects that would essentially protect the player and feel like they got less cheated in a sense that, oh man, it would still maintain that streak and you'd still be able to get 50. And if you manage to do it flawlessly, maybe you get another bonus. That's kind of how they do it in the trials cards for Destiny, which is a PvP type of event. If you're not familiar with that, you kind of get a card and then you can reset the card. If you're like, damn, I got 2 losses, I was trying to go for flawless, you could choose to reset the card, or you could finish out the card and then you'd still get the reward as long as you didn't go over that limit. In the sense, at least that's the way it used to work. Unique camo challenges, they're going to have some of those requiring certain kills with the suppressor or whatever. They fixed those, I guess. Ranked play stuff. The maps, it's going to use all Resurgence maps. So Fortune's Keep, Rebirth, Haven's Hollow. And then the Rebirth Island, it doesn't get updated from the snow version to like the spring summer version until we get to the mid-season update in about a month. I think the season's only scheduled for 7 weeks based off the weekly challenges. So maybe we get, after 3 weeks, we'll get Fortune's Keep, or 4 weeks. I think it's June 25th or 6th is when we get that mid-season update. Adjusted matchmaking, updated ranked to allow for configuration more consistently enforce intended skill brackets during matches. Change will reduce disparity between matches, improve consistency. That'll probably lead to longer queue times, which that's fine. Skilled lobbies should be more skill-based, right? Loophole, added counter UAVs to ground loot, re-enabled echo units, and re-enabled point turrets. And then restrictions, the Grimhawk, the advanced self-revive is not going to be in ranked. They still got to test that out anyways. And then the Shadow Link contract won't also be in there. Gameplay, high-value loot zones and Haven Hollow, those will be added to that. And then we're going to have the horizontal ascenders, quality of life adjusted to interactable range and aligned to use prompt distance with the actual interactive distance to improve consistency and ease of use. Nice. Buy stations, Battle Royale, increase the number of buy stations a significant amount. That's an extra 15 buy stations there on Avalon. So that one really, like, it's a much bigger map, so it should have more. And then Verdansk's got a couple more because 49 is probably a good spot, but 2 more wouldn't be bad. And then it's been adjusted on both of those maps. So you can look at that more closely if you want. Not that big a deal until you start playing. You'll just kind of got to get used to wherever those POIs, where those are specifically going to be. With Avalon being a larger map with more playable space, at least I would say more playable space, they need more buy stations. Contracts. So Resurgence, we're going to get the Shadow League contract. That's going to be Fortune's Keep only. And then we get the black market information. Players can purchase and complete hit lists through the black market to earn rewards. Nice. So black market buy stations, you'll have the specific things to get the specific items. And then that's kind of how that part works. Adjusted Resurgence. So recon, updated recon flare behavior to persist after capture has begun until the contract is either completed or failed. Train recon contracts continue to use the previous flare behavior, which expires automatically after a short duration. Nice. Field upgrades, we get the advanced self-revive. And then the functionality activates an active camo while self-reviving. Successfully complete a self-revive will maintain the active camo for additional 2 seconds. So you get a chance to reposition and like maybe plate up, get aggressive. Perks, Surveyor. Nearby enemies who use a grapple hook will now briefly appear on your mini-map. That's pretty crazy. Yeah, that could be pretty good for that, especially if a lot of people are using that. It would just mark them on the map. And this is a mechanic that was in the previous jetpacks. When you would use the jetpack mechanic and there was like a thrust, it would mark you on the map. It was almost be like if you fired an unsuppressed weapon, then you had to run specific perks to remain hidden, like a dead silence type thing that kept your jetpack boosting off the minimap. And it looks like they've carried some over that mechanic over where they're going to highlight themselves on the map, which is cool. Black Ops Royale Bubble Shield EMP Grenade will now disable active enemy bubble shields if you use the EMP grenade against it. We get the new weapons. So this is a new marksman rifle, semi-automatic, high damage, high mobility. And one guy on the video yesterday, so I'm not getting one guy, but I guess it is what it is. He was like, why don't you go line by line? The reality is we don't know if this gun's going to be good until we just put in the firing range, get a good idea of what the fire rate is. Because they can say high damage, great mobility, limited significant first shot recoil. Until we actually get in and know, okay, this is the damage, this is the mag size, this is the TTK. This information is mostly useless. And that's what we've kind of found out over the years, is regardless of what this says, it basically never actually applies to when the gun is in the game. Unfortunately, it just doesn't. We've had several instances where they say high damage, blah, 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 and the gun's dog. Like, it's just absolutely dog, and no one's going to use that garbage. That's just kind of how that goes. So we just got to find out. I update it on the spreadsheet. I do cover it usually in a meta video. So if you want to know, you got to look out for that. Other than this is just flavor to kind of sprinkle the gun so they don't just put marksman rifle. They got to fill it with something. So that's kind of where it goes. So we'll kind of see what that does. Cerberus should be kind of cool. Full auto, submachine gun with high capacity, rechambering magazine, well-rounded and excellent range and recoil. What does that mean? It's going to be 13 meters instead of the standard 12 meters that most of the SMGs are at. And the recoil, is it recoil for an SMG or general? That's what I was talking about earlier. So unlockable via battle pass and battle pass. So those will be pretty straightforward. Unlocks the free portion. And obviously if you do the black cell or the paid version, you progress there a little bit quicker and get a little bit more tokens to get there a little bit quicker. Grimhawk special. So this will be in season. We'll have a challenge reward that'll just be part of the weekly that we do every Thursday or whatever the case is across the various modes. The compact assault rifle, this will also be in season. And this looks like unlocked via the illicit cargo camo event. It'll be one of those events that last like a week or two, sometimes 3. It'll be a straightforward way to unlock it. We get a couple new attachments. One's like more of a muzzle brake. That could be interesting, but the penalty is insane. It basically gives your opponents an advanced UAV if you're using that. Ridiculously bad thing to do. So that's like a no for me, but we'll see. And then the M10 breacher, we get the lever action on it. That'll be a weekly challenge. And then we'll kind of see how that works. Faster fire rate is huge when it comes to a shotgun, especially if they don't manipulate the damage. That'll effectively improve its TTK, especially since a lot of the shotguns you do have to hit at least twice and sometimes 3 times. That effectively makes it way more usable. Lowers the skill floor on it since it's less punishing. So that's kind of how that'll work. Overall weapon adjustments is in a healthy spot, but we're addressing a few outliers in the update, which I think they've done a good job on this. I'll continue to say they've done a good job because a year ago I said a bunch of things that they could do better. They're essentially doing the things that I recommended. Not everything, but basically along the line, and they've updated the meta pretty regularly, about once a month. And this meta will probably hold until we get the mid-season in the end of June, and then we'll get another update, and that'll be the meta for that time. I don't think the meta is updated quite as well on multiplayer and zombies because Treyarch handles that. Raven's more in charge of this aspect of it, so that they've made that a point of focus. One of our primary goals is to improve the build diversity, particularly within our muzzle category. These changes are intended to create more meaningful trade-offs between muzzle options, encouraging players to choose attachments based off strengths they value most rather than defaulting the monolithic suppressor for nearly every build. This is a problem that we had in MW 2019 through Vanguard, years of Warzone, because basically everyone just went monolithic suppressor, longest barrel, biggest mag, optic, and then that was then usually had a quick draw under barrel or a stock, whichever one's going to help with the recoil the best for long range, and then you had the mobility options for your close range. So we'll see. So ground loot gets a little bit extensive pass to refresh the loot builds on multiple weapons. This is specifically for Battle Royale and Resurgence, which is basically all the modes, and then the Black Ops Royale gets their own set of things built out. So this is for all Black Ops 7 battle or assault rifles, so that's significant there to save some time. Suppressor attachment now gives a 10% damage benefit. Damage range benefit. So that's the basic suppressor. So that'll compete with the monolithic. Recoil suppressor velocity penalty removed. So now it gives you like an option between the 2 suppressors, I guess. That's not a huge difference, I don't think, but we'll see. All modes, horizontal shake and recoil when firing reduced. So the AK is going to get even easier. I think this is the 4th recoil buff to make the AK like more usable. And then for BR and Resurgence only, then that's basically not blackout. Version 2.0. You get flip bags, get benefit there, so you'll have faster reload if you decide to go that, an extra 5 bullets. Monolithic suppressor, they kind of nerfed it. And then the FMJ, bullet velocity, got improved so that you might trade that off instead of the recoil ammo type. Mirage gets a vertical recoil reduced, which it didn't have a ton to begin with. I think the first couple shots were a little bit wonkier than the rest, but pretty good. And then flip mag, same thing. And then same thing with the mono. So you might actually go with the standard suppressor instead of the monolithic. because it did get nerfed in line, especially if the other one's 10%. It might be worth just to go that route. The Agert, it looks like the flip mag, they just did that. They didn't extend the mag any further. Looks like kind of the same thing for each of the guns, even though they mentioned it up top here, what they were doing. It looks like they did basically the similar things to all of them with the monolithic and whatever for the M15, the MK35, MXR. The medium range did get an extra 5 meters. Not sure if that's like important or not. Peacekeeper, same thing. It looks like they want a lot of people using the flip mag. The Voyak, same thing. And nothing crazy there. SMG, suppressor attachment now gives 10%, same thing. This could be a good way to go for the suppressor so you can have that sense of staying off the minimap. They are actually modifying the damage here. So, and fire rate. So the Dravik gets a buff to its fire rate, and the headshot multiplier probably will be enough to still lower the shot to kill. So this effectively improves the TTK on average, and on out of the norm with the headshot multiplier. Kogot gets a little bit of a nerf for damage and range. Aim down sight got nerfed as well, slightly. 10 milliseconds is negligible, especially if it's still under the sweet spot of 200. We'll see kind of how it stacks with attachments. NPC gets a headshot multiplier, so it's going to get a little bit stronger, and ADS gets 5 milliseconds faster. Rev 46 gets a little bit better range, and not much else on that. Aim down sight speed sped up. Lower torso gets improved, so the consistency of the TTK might be a little bit more consistent, where the too many leg shots or whatever aren't going to slow down your TTK, and it'll probably feel more consistent. And sometimes that's what will happen. On paper, it'll look like the Rev 46 has a competitive TTK with another gun, but when you look at it more a little bit up close, the number of leg shots that can ruin your TTK, it could definitely impact it there. All Black Ops 7 suppressor, same thing. They went with 8% instead of 10, and then recoil suppressor, velocity penalty removed, so it'll be a more viable option. MK78 gets nerfed pretty much across the board, and bullet velocity gets nerfed. Other than that, the other two LMGs remain intact. We got the Breacher 10. All right, I wonder, damn, okay, they bumped the range by almost a full meter. And other than that, not much. ADS improved, and then the full charge improved. Bug fixes for multiple things, and pretty straightforward. Nothing insane. It is a Season 4 update. The big thing is the map, how rank plays out, what the weapons are. I think mid-season will be pretty interesting. There's a cool zombies like roguelike mode that they're adding tomorrow as well. And then we got tons of information on MW4's DMZ mode. I already got my video ready to go. It'll probably be, well, not ready to go. I still got to edit it down. But I'm guessing it's going to be around 25 minutes of information, which will be pretty chunky on the DMZ side if you're looking forward to that. We'll see you guys on the next one. Thank you for watching as always. Have a great day.